Warning, this podcast may contain bad language aimed at people weaker than us, and content and language and stuff that's offensive to people.
Yeah. Are you happy with that one?
No, I'm not. It wasn't the best.
No.
And it kind of came out more on the side of the bully than the bully.
Yeah.
The victim.
The victim.
That's
the
it.
survivor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bullseye reference just in the theme tune to make it a bit more fun.
I guess you could if you wanted.
Great. Here's the credits.
Welcome, one and all, back to Seesaw Podcast, the show that will punch you in the face and take your lunch money.
You know.
God.
So, doubling down on the horrific
I
things.
just wasn't expecting it.
No.
Okay.
So we are back, and this week we're going to be talking about, as alluded to in the previous episode, bullying and being disabled and all that stuff. I will say, because there will be some prudes out there, these are jokes. It is very important. It's a topic we're covering because it's important and it does matter, and it affects a lot of people. Even if you don't think you've been bullied, you probably have. If you don't think you've ever been a bully, you probably have.
If you don't think
multiple
you've ever been
levels.
bullied, you're probably a bully.
They always say the bully's been bullied, though, don't they?
Oh,
True.
sunrise, sunset.
Yeah. Well, before we get into this fantastic episode, which might have no controversies at all for once, let's go over what we're wearing. We ain't done that in a while.
All right. I've got this t-shirt on. It's white and it says ignite down it. Like ignite, 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 ignite. It's a band t-shirt. Guess what they're called?
Ignite?
No! Yeah, they are.
I thought you were going to say no. They're called Ignite, 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 Ignite.
Yeah.
That's a convoluted name.
It could have been like a Rage Against the Machine reference.
But it isn't.
No. Then I got a shirt wrap that I've just not taken off from work. Well, actually, no, I would have taken it off and then put it back on. I don't know why. Maybe I was feeling a bit chilly at the time.
Oh.
And then my house jeans.
House jeans.
Yep.
House jeans.
Yeah, you know, like when you get indoors and you've got a separate pair of jeans that you use for like just jobbing around the house. You wouldn't take them out of the house. House jeans.
Pajamas.
Yeah, kind of like pajamas.
Who sleeps in jeans?
I don't sleep in the jeans. I sleep naked.
God, I didn't use that.
Oh, no, I don't sleep in the jeans. I sleep in my boxers, or I don't know if it's really cold. I do have a pair of lounge pants, but I don't really wear them that often.
Okay, that's fair. Selina P, let's throw to you.
I'm
That's
in
the
pajamas. Yeah. Standard Disney ones, Disney print all over them.
I know, we can see from the camera.
Next week.
Next week. And to round it out, and then we'll find out why Selina sounds so sad. I'm wearing a white jumper, black gilet, and my house jeans, funny enough.
Yeah. See?
We don't have house jeans as well.
I do. It had like one of the pockets has a massive hole in it, so I can't put anything in there.
In public.
It just falls out, which is not great.
House jeans tend to be the jeans that are so worn out that you no longer want to wear them out.
Yeah.
But you got to be wearing something around the house, right?
It's true,
Pajamas.
no.
But you can't really, like, it's not really a thing for guys, is it? You don't just, like,
Why
wander
not?
around in, like, I don't know, a negligee.
You can buy male pajamas.
Maybe they called them
negligee or
man-joggers.
nothing.
Like jogging bottoms. That's what I expect.
Yeah, it's the same, but
Guys,
house jeans.
Yeah, but jeans aren't as comfy, are they?
These ones are.
Hmm.
These are very comfy. You can fit his whole hand through his pocket to his knob.
Yep. Wow.
Comfy.
Okay. So, Selina P, why are you so sad? What's up?
I'd hurt myself. Do you know what? Actually, my story was yesterday. I thought it was going to be my story for the podcast today, but now we've gone and topped it. So if this morning didn't happen, I was going to say I fell over yesterday, which I did. walking Riley, tripped up, landed, hands down, but thankfully I had gloves on, so my hands were all right. Grazed my knee, bruised my knee. Well, that was bad. And then I go football training this morning, do a sharp turn left, and I've, injured my knee, tibia. Still not sure, working it out. Physio's messaging me as we speak, asking, is it hurt more going up or down the stairs? Can you push your kneecap down? What happens then? So, yeah, I don't know what I've done.
Oh, that's a shame.
When's the third one going to happen?
What?
Well, accidents happen in threes, right?
Great.
You got one more to look forward to.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And you do have sympathy from Dragon Pockets on Twitch, who also asked Cleaves, are they skinny jeans? Well, implying that they would be comfortable if they weren't skinny jeans.
No, they're not. But my boxers are tighter than I would like. I'm not gonna lie. Well, you know, occasionally you get boxers and they just ride up a little bit too much. One of those pairs.
Oh, okay. That's on that.
I don't know. I always
disgusting
find it a
note.
little bit bizarre that men wear boxers. Like, I don't
What?
know, wearing shorts underneath your trousers essentially all the time. It seems a bit weird. But I mean,
Why?
well, I don't know. You've got different bits down there. I don't know.
You want
Seems a
something
bit
that's
weird
going to
to
keep your
me.
junk in place, but you also don't want something that's going to ride up into your junk.
Mm.
Basically,
Yeah, I don't
that's
really
like
understand
ideal
that, I
boxers.
suppose.
Yeah. That is true. And the problem with like
I thought you were about to go off on one here.
no, boxers, I don't know, they're just
Made of cardboard.
yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Wife
Dad
fronts
jokes
have
for
a
me.
connotation to them, which I don't think a lot
Do
of
they?
men. I don't think a lot of men are comfortable doing that. If you are comfortable doing that, then more power to you. But the wife ones, it's not a strong look.
It's not the 80s anymore.
Let's put it
How are
this
they more
way.
comfortable? That's what I'm curious.
I don't know if they are
Not
because
really.
like I feel like when your boxers ride up, they effectively become Y fronts, and they strangle you. They strangle you,
God.
your bits basically.
Okay, well, let's get on track with this episode, shall we? Let's go from the Y fronts, shall we? Let's say you were in school and you're changing after PE, and you're a kid who has Y fronts. You may find yourself at a certain age being the victim of bullying.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Well,
and I didn't say it for once, but I was very tempted.
yes. Yeah. Don't. Yeah, we won't go.
We get it. We get
it. So, when it comes to bullying, I think, like I said at the start, I think a lot of people have experienced it in their life one way or another, or maybe has done it without knowing or intentionally doing it. Yeah. But this sort of came up with, I suppose it came down to the last few episodes that we did on Can Culture, Can't Culture. I mentioned about the bullying reference that was in the Nice Therapist Network. And this sort of is where this came from. Just a very quick recap of that. A parent was told by a GP that their child was going to probably get bullied because of their disability, their visual impairment. And there was uproar from all the parents saying that they should lose their license. How can they say that? It's not going to happen. My response to it was very clear that it was likely to happen, but you have to take steps. Like, to be fair, all kids get bullied in some way, usually. You just got a bigger target, I guess, if you have something that makes you stick out from anyone else, and that doesn't necessarily mean a disability. It can mean anything. If you're a bit short, a bit tall, if you're too skinny, or if you carry a bit of extra weight, or the color of your hair, like anything can be picked on. And disability is no different to that. So I think if we kick off, have any of us had experience of being bullied at any point in life?
Me.
Okay, and this is a safe space. You don't have to go into details about it. That's absolutely fine.
I'll cue up the sad piano music.
I'm okay about it though. Yeah, I've been
okay.
bullied loads.
You don't have
at
to sound so jaunty about it.
That was quite jaunty.
I mean, you've got to. It seems like a good thing for this episode because it's content. So I'm seeing the positives in this. I knew it'd come one day, something good out of it. So I don't know if I was really bullied at primary school, but I don't know. I have this weird memory of suggesting that a boy was bullying me, but I think I made it up. I think I said he was calling me Four Eyes, but I don't think he was. Might have lied about being bullied for some reason
Did
at
you
primary
like
school.
him?
No, not at all. He was just
Okay.
like, I wanted to get him in trouble for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I possibly could have been bullied at primary school. I'm not too sure. I mean, when I was at school, like I wasn't just only the disabled kid. I was also the only Asian kid, more or less, in a very white uh, village. So I kind of did really stick out. So bullies were rubbing their hands with glee. At secondary school, it got worse as my sight deteriorated. Probably the worst of it was like year 10, year 10, 11, sixth form onwards. Used to, I guess, mobile phones by then. People would get my number and then just prank call me and shout stuff down to me. So both racist and disabled bullying. I just hung up. I do remember times my mum grabbing the phone and like shouting at these kids, and I was just like, just leave it. It's just words. Didn't really bother me. Obviously, also they did it with withheld number and stuff. And then walking around school, people would shout lamppost at me. Generally, again, some racist comments, and they would stand far away enough so I knew they were male, but I couldn't identify who they were. So they never really got in trouble for it.
That sucks. Like that absolutely sucks. And I mean, we'll get on to like proactive ways of dealing with this in a bit, or how we've dealt with various things. But especially from your situation, Selena, like you said, you had a bit of a twofer going on.
Yeah.
You know,
But do you know what? It was never physical. So all I had was words. But so lucky in that sense, no one actually ever did anything to me. More than saying
Emotionally
nasty
scarred you.
things. I'm not really emotionally scarred by it. I just I accepted that I was an easy target. I got it. I didn't feel, maybe that was what saved me from letting it get to me. I didn't feel like that was the worst thing going on in my life. It was probably worse that I was busy losing my sight, other things to deal with than kids being kids and immature. It wasn't, yeah, the end of the world.
But it's still, it does really knock your confidence, isn't it? And I think when it comes to things now, like mental health and well-being is in much more of a spotlight, or trying to really like counteract that. But I think when we were all growing up, that wasn't really a thing, was it? Like, especially if you had no proof or didn't know who was doing this, like, and there was no support. Like, even like from my situation anyway, there was no support for this.
Yeah, I don't think mental health was invented till 2019, was it?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
It came with COVID.
Yeah. Which, that's, yeah, you're not wrong. So before we go on to Cleaves, I am seeing the chats, everyone on Twitch. Thank you for popping in there. And enjoy yourselves. If you have a question, we'll pick those up in a little bit, just so we can wrap Whimsical on.
He's
moderating.
moderating.
I am moderating. I am seeing the chats, but I
How
don't wanna,
ironic.
yeah. I don't want to
I'm
cut
going to
the
inform the
episode.
fucking DWP.
Yeah. So, Cleaves, what, if any, is your experience or situation with this?
I didn't really get a lot of bullying growing up. I kind of the only time I really got a bit of bullying was because I used to just get my head down and get on with my work a lot of the time, which occasionally people were a little bit like, "Move square, mate." But it kind of like me getting on with my work kind of afforded me a little bit of leeway in the sense that people just thought I could get on with my work and do stuff. And they wouldn't have to worry about me, which kind of because they thought I was getting on with my work and doing everything, which I was turning it all in on time and stuff for school. It means I could go out and do whatever the fuck I want. If I wanted to go out, go drinking down the park, great. If I wanted to go out and smoke weed or whatever, no one's going to think that was me.
Yeah.
Until right now. I'm not saying it was a fallacy, but if you get the first part done and you take a bit of criticism for being that person that turns his homework in on time and things like that, fine. No, I didn't never actually got bullied for my disability though. This was more for me being quite hardworking, at least to a point where I got to get the balance wrong during sixth form, and one
I was
side
gonna
took over the
say,
other.
that's not. I'm surprised at that. I didn't think you were that kind of
Yeah,
child.
well, we met at RNC. You want to know the
Hmm.
reason I went there? I failed 2 of 3 A levels.
Yeah. So how the hell did that happen?
Well, up to my GCSE point, I was quite a good boy. And then
I
it
don't see it.
kind of like I say, the seesaw tipped in the wrong direction.
All references.
Yeah. And then I had to get my shit together in various ways. But yeah, that I didn't really have a great deal of bullying. I think once I found my own niche and my own group of friends, that's when the bullying didn't stop necessarily because I'd still get it occasionally. A lot of the time you were bullied because I was with my friends. Like I was the kind of grabby rocker kid growing up, and my friends were similar. So a lot of the time you had just the different factions. You had the Chavs, the Townies.
Mm.
You don't really get it so much anymore, I don't think, because everything's a bit more
Speaking as a man with no
amalgamated.
children and doesn't go around any kids of that age, and then you're making the assumption that it doesn't happen.
All the kids that I've spoken to, and kids, I mean people of like 16 to 18-year-olds, and they're usually the kids of people I know, admittedly. It's like less of a thing. People still do have like scenes and things like that now, but I don't think the aggressiveness between factions is necessarily as bad as it was. I could be wrong, like I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. I've got nieces and nephews, but this is never a conversation I've had with them, so I can't really add anything to what the kids are going through now. But it I don't know. Maybe it does seem like it was more segmented when we were growing up. It was more of a closed world, wasn't it?
it was.
Like your music, like you could only afford a certain amount of albums or singles, stuff like that, and you gravitate to people who also liked that stuff.
Yep.
Whereas now you've got Spotify, you can listen to literally anything for the cost of less of an like it costs less than an album used to cost.
Well, I used to go down to the local library, borrow them for 80p, copy them at home, and then sell them around school to make money on them.
And that's when you became a bad boy.
That's when I became a businessman.
You say business, I say pirate.
Piracy's a business.
It
It's lucrative for the pirates.
it kind
Just
of is.
ask most of Somalia.
Oh well, I don't know if it's that lucrative, if I'm being honest.
No, it's true. I'm literally basing it off one South Park episode I saw.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I get
bullying. See, you?
So I have experienced bullying. Not so much primary school.
Well,
It
you said
was
that. It's like I've experienced bullying.
well, I have been bullied.
Right, okay. You made it sound like you were the bully. The bullier?
No, no. Not so much primary school sort of age. Like it wasn't really that sort of school. And because that primary school, it had quite a large. It wasn't a specialist school for like disabled individuals or visual impaired. It was a mainstream school, but it was kind of the school that had a big department for disabled kids. So there must have been around 40, 50 disabled kids in the entire school because it was like quite a built up area. And just one school was like, we're just going to put all this investment in being the best, and then we can look after the needs of all the disabled kids at primary level in this area. So a lot of parents are just like, well, they're the best. Why are we going to send our kids to the place which doesn't have all of the accessible technology and all the wheelchair ramps and everything already set up for them? So although it was mainstream, it did have quite a large disabled population. And I think as a result, it was sort of, when you're talking primary, you're talking from a young age, like 5 years old. So it normalized disability quite a lot. So I don't recall ever having any issues with my disability or bullying in general at that school, to be fair. It was actually quite good. Secondary school was a completely different matter. I stuck out like a sore thumb. It didn't help that the school I went to kind of made me look even more disabled than I was. So like adapted materials would be like blown up onto A2 paper, which I didn't need, but they just insisted on it. And they always insisted on sending someone to sit next to me and write down things from the board, even though contextually you know what's being put on the board. And any teacher who was putting problems up would just be like, oh, I'll write them down for you. So in all the classes I had where they weren't there was like no difference. So
Do you think that the fact that your primary school that was so accessible then made it worse for your secondary school that was, well, from what you've described, like most mainstream schools?
no.
Okay, fine.
Right. I was going to say maybe like primary school age, kids don't judge as much at that age anyway. I think when you hit puberty, that's when, I don't know, we become horrible people and judgmental people that
I'd like to think
causes
I was that before
bullying.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's primary school, it's you're innocent, aren't you? And I think it's like exposure really helps at a young age. That's why you get kids to learn languages at a young age, because their brains soak up good things, bad things. But if you instill a good environment from the beginning, it can really help with things.
that.
A quick question on Twitch, Dragon Pockets. There was no bullying within the disability community either. So it was absolutely no issues at all. Primary school, like not even within our little community. Secondary school, bullying happened a lot. It happened a lot. Unfortunately, unlike Selina's situation, it was physical. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So the physical side of things was, I don't know if it's just boys and how they can be, but especially when you can't see, it's very easy to hit someone in the back of the head quite hard. So now thinking back to Gary Turner's episode when we had him on about how little force can cause a mild concussion, I've imagined I probably did get a few concussions and damage to my brain. So that wasn't great. Then I moved secondary school because I moved to another part of the country for family reasons. And it didn't really happen there. It almost started, but I wasn't going to let it happen again. And I will say I will not condone what I did. I do not think that this is how you should do it, but it worked for me. So take that as you will. Before it started properly, I essentially put a line in the sand with violence. And the key to it was make them think that you'll go a lot further than that. No one was hospitalized or anything like that. No one was seriously hurt. But when things did start, I knew what it could be like if you don't act and that the staff are useless. Like nothing's going to change.
So just to be clear, rather than they think that you were physically disabled, you wanted them to think you were mentally unstable.
If that's what they felt and they left me alone, then that was fine.
Yeah, fair.
But the situation was along the lines of, yeah, not quite bad physical bullying. But then my retaliation to something that was quite minor but still physical was
To laugh maniacally.
it was a magnitude more than what they expected, to the point where the line was set like, if you take this further, I will go further with that, even past that level. And that did stop it. Now, I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, and I'm not saying that would work for every instance. It worked for mine because of, I'd gone through a really shit time, and I just wanted to try the complete opposite of what I did before, which was being quite docile, just trying to do it right around the right ways and policy, and go through the school and things, and never worked. So I just essentially took it into my own hands, and it did work. I don't condone it, like I said. I don't think it's the right way to do things. But I never had any issues after that. It was based as on my disability as well, more so when it came to like the second school that I went to, my second secondary school. The first one was a bit of a mix, but the second one was very clearly about my disability, from what I remember of the language and how things were brought to me, and I wasn't having any of that. So yeah, don't punch people. Don't do that.
Unless you know they're rich.
Yeah.
A joke. Actually, that covers off most of my first notes, which were, what are the types of bullying? And I put down here physically, mentally, and then just also subconsciously leaving people out of things.
So emotionally as well.
Alienating people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Sometimes you'll do it purposely, sometimes possibly not purposely.
Yeah.
But either way, it can make a person feel real bad inside. God, I'm sounding really patronizing. I'm not very good at this. Anyway. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Often feeling lonely and outcast is
just
because other people are leaving you out purposely can kind of be like bullying.
I mean, if I was actually prepared, I do recall that there are studies about like friendship groups and gender and things, and the type of bullying that goes into it. It sounds obvious what it is, but there are actually studies to show that girls will get bullied more emotional and mental. It's not very often that it will become physical, whereas boys are much more on the physical side of things, which isn't always the case, but it is more likely to happen there. There are studies to support this. I can't cite them because, like I said, I am not prepared for it. If I was smart, I would have looked up the study. But there are studies that show this. And from what we've said about our experiences, I mean, even in the three of us, we can see that trend is there, where I had the physical side, not so much mental or emotional stuff. It was just physical. And Selina had the other side of things, which I don't know what's worse, to be honest.
I think physical. Because honestly, although we call it bullying, being called names or whatever, it didn't hurt me. I think I've always just been a hard person. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just let it bounce off me. Like, fine, you do you. It doesn't bother me.
I suppose my thinking is like mental and when you have like mental and emotional sort of stuff, it's very hard to fight your corner.
They don't need to fight. Just ignore them. That's what I mean. It doesn't matter. So what?
Yeah, but is
Sticks and
that a
stones and all
fallacy?
that.
Is that just not a fallacy that we tell ourselves? One of the lies of society.
Sticks and stones will break your bones and words will hurt forever.
Yeah.
No, like I know other people wouldn't have been able to deal with it or cope with it as me, and they would have let it get to them. But there's no need. Like, it doesn't matter what other people think or say. That's what it's whereas actually getting physically hurt, it's worse. Like, you're actually getting injured. That would make me lose confidence and be a bit wary around people throwing words at me. It's just words.
Yeah. I suppose it comes down to the individual, doesn't it? Because there are going to be others who are going to experience like the mental and emotional side of stuff, and it can get to you. Like
No, of course.
it can really hit people hard, and there will be other people that can't deal with the physical side of things, and I dealt with it. If I'm being honest, it wasn't too much of a big deal. I grew up as one of 4 boys, and fighting each other is all we did. So I didn't appreciate it happening in a school environment, but it was something that I was very much used to. And nothing that I hadn't experienced before. Play fighting with my brothers, you get hurt doing that as well. This was just intentional. So the fence posts were moved a little bit for that. But everyone's different. So
on my notes then, just moving on from that a little bit, I've got a couple. Well, my first question is, do you think everyone with a disability will get bullied? Just quickly.
yes, unfortunately.
Well, Cleaves says he didn't.
You sound so bitter about that. That
No.
motherfucker didn't.
I wouldn't know. Ordinarily, I would have said, yeah, definitely. But apparently, someone's broken the mold.
I don't think it.
There's probably points where I felt a bit left out and things like that, but I guess we'll probably come on to that a little bit later in terms of how I tried to make myself more included.
Yeah, we can't do like an all-encompassing statement and say that everyone will, because you are, as Selina said, you broke the mold. So I can't see it always being the case, but I think majority probably, and like that's me admitting that I don't know what the trials are of youngsters, and I don't
people
have
with
that
other disabilities,
experience.
really.
Yeah,
We're kind of speaking from a visual perspective.
Yeah, visual perspective, our own perspective, based in the fact that we all went to school in the 90s and early 2000s. So our perspective is going to be different. But if you look at the fact the world isn't really getting that much better, it is getting better, but not as much as I would think it is. I mean, you don't have to look far to see bigotry, racism, sexism, transphobia.
They've all got names now. It just used to be called discrimination.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the A word because I don't like it. But you don't have to go far to see that, and see it in quite a lot of detail and all over every aspect of life. You don't have to go far to see that. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen in every single instance, but I think it's more important how you deal with it.
Great, you've moved on nicely. So next up on my notes, I've got bullying. How can it be combated? And I firstly put, how can parents combat bullying?
Don't get involved.
Oh, okay. I've
don't
not
get
got that written
involved.
down here. That's interesting.
Well, I didn't like it when my mum got involved. I felt like she was just making the situation worse. Like, yeah, I get it. She was trying to be my mum. She cares. She wants to protect me. She doesn't want anyone hurting her poor child. But actually, I didn't need my mum getting involved. I was dealing with it by ignoring it.
Shut up, mum. I'm dealing with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of agree, but not entirely. I think you have two things here. You have reactionary involvement and you have proactive involvement.
Glad you said that. I was going to move on to that as well. Go, go, go.
So I don't think that much good can come out of being a reaction, like a parent or a teacher reacting to it. Of course, schools have duties of care. It's a bit different, but parents especially reacting to it, I don't think ever does anyone any good. I think it just makes things worse or things stay the same. I can't see anything ever being resolved. And I had parents get involved when I went through things, and it never made anything better. It always made it worse. And you're right, Selina, they do it because they love you and they don't want you to be hurt, but sometimes they just need to realize that this is something they have no control over. But I think being proactive, preparing your child, I think will definitely help with this. So helping them with their confidence, teach them at a young age that school isn't the be all and end all. Like make friends, enjoy yourself, but that isn't your world. Like getting them involved in other things outside, like sport and other things and other vocations, where they can build other friendship groups built on mutual interest as opposed to the fallacy of school, which essentially is state paid daycare where they teach kids a couple bits. Let's not lie to ourselves. That's basically what schools are, so the rest of the country can get on and actually, do things. Sorry, teachers. Sorry. You do a hard job, and I have a lot of respect for you. But let's not lie about it.
I've never heard it pitched like that before, and part of me doesn't disagree.
There is value to school, but I think we are all lying. If it's we've got to get on with stuff. You know what I mean? We've got to get on with stuff. So I think school's important for that. But as far as like building friendships and like that being your all of your world, I don't really think I don't think it's really that important. And if you can get the kids into other situations built on things they like if they like football, get them involved in a football team. Because if they like football, they'll want to talk about football and play football with other kids who want to do that. And then you have a mutual understanding, you have that common ground. And then you're talking about, like we've said in the past, you're not talking about your disability. You're talking about the things you like. It's not the focus point. Sure, you might need other stuff like other concessions in certain situations to help you out, accessibility, that sort of thing. But you're not there for that. Like that's not the primary reason you're there. Whereas when you're at school, you're basically all in a daycare system, and no one really wants to be there. Like some people enjoy school and certain classes, but you're all forced to be there whether you like it or not. There's no mutual ground there other than the location. But that's my thought. I think if you can get them ready for it, I think that really does help, like build their confidence and stuff like that. And I had a lot of friends outside of school, and I never had any issues with anything I did outside of school. It was school was the problem, always.
On the reactionary thing, I'm not sure my parents really got, well, I said I wasn't super bullied anyway. However, in the proactive department, my parents did enroll me in various clubs and things like that, as it was mentioned last week or the week before, where I got that super sweet award for being the most attentive in basketball. However, I know for a fact that when I was doing Cub Scouts and actual scouts and things like that, when I was younger, I didn't know it at the time because I was just a stupid kid back then. But my parents will have told the leaders, like when I've gone on camp and things like that, of my particular disabilities and things like that. Now, I don't know how much of the other parents knew about that as well. Again, I was a dumb kid, but the leaders definitely knew, and chances are, I imagine that other parents knew and probably would have said a little bit to the other kids about it because they never made no bones about it when I was out on these camps and stuff, and they knew that I had night blindness by that point and things like that. All the leaders were cool with it. Again, like T said, you're there for a common goal, interest, yeah, whatever. So a lot of people would just help me out on that, and I don't know whether that was the sense of community within those groups. Probably was, but again, I know that my parents will have said something to the leaders about that in advance, which then probably prevented the bullying. So I think that's what parents can do for people or their kids, potentially, to stop them getting bullied in the first place. Like, you don't have to know about it as the child. I didn't. I had no idea.
But did you ever ask for help, or was it just naturally offered by other children or the leaders?
A bit of both, I think, from what I remember. So they obviously had a vague idea because, again, No one can know every person's disability and their actual symptoms. Sometimes you have to ask for things. It's on you. But you can tell people the vague gist of things, can't you? Because you're never going to know the actual situation when it crops up. So you're going to have to advocate for yourself sometimes, but it's always good if, adults around you within those clubs or situations, and possibly kids as well. And so a lot of those people were my friends anyway. Again, you're there for a common interest, so they don't mind helping you out anyway. So you kind of got the combination of the two, and that's what sort of prevents the bullying.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I like it. I think it's a valuable point. Selina P, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree.
Do you ever have that? You're a rainbow brownies leader,
Brownie.
right? Have you ever
Yeah.
had someone, a child with disability, that's come to the leaders and sort of spoke about it and said, you just need to be aware of this?
Yeah, we do. We do have a couple of girls at the minute actually that have additional needs, and it is just between the leaders. But I think the girls are aware as well from school that these children act slightly differently, and I don't know if it's just the age thing where they're just not bothered, that they don't get concerned by it if a child wants to go and sit under a table instead of sit in the circle, or they're cool with it. I mean, they're cool with me, like the brownies, like don't bat an eyelid about me being blind.
How do you know?
Well, yeah,
Some on-air bullying right here from Cleaves.
no, they talk to me like normally. They ask for my help as if they would ask like any other sighted leader help. They see me as an authority. Um, and
Dole out the
yeah,
beans.
they like describing stuff to me. They like doing stuff in braille now and then. I get given to me. That they've made out of beads or whatever. They're nice girls. But yeah, they're just looking at it as that blindness is normal. So I imagine if they had someone that came to their school that was blind, that was their age, I don't think they would be too bothered either, because they've been around me.
Yeah. Well, that's also on my list in terms of parents and what they can do. Just general education of people. And I guess being around someone that has a disability is like educating someone, isn't it?
How do you mean? Do you mean like educating others, or do you mean educating their kid about the world and the reality of it?
Well, a bit of both. You've got everything going on, haven't you, at the moment. You're literally around disabled people, like in the case of Selina, and Brownie. Do you call them a troop?
Pack.
Pack, all right. So they're having that sort of lived experience. I love it too. But also, your parents. There's like a billion different like educational seminars and shit like that out there now. Like you say, like the world's a huge place, right? You can just go on the internet and just find out about something, can't you? If you want to know, if you just, if there's someone at school that you think's slightly, let's say you're completely uneducated, right? And you're a kid and you go, oh, this kid's slightly off. What's up with them, right? You can probably type in their symptoms or what you perceive to be different about them, and it'll probably tell you exactly what they've got within the space of seconds. So you can educate yourself. There should probably be more education from both teachers and parents towards their own children about people that are different. And I'm not just talking disabled people. I'm talking about transgender and other ethnicities and everything like that as well. We had RE as kids, but we didn't have everything else, did we? So
No.
that would be helpful as well if you could do that. So just a general education of all the different types of people that are out there. I know you can't encompass everyone, but you get what I'm saying.
I agree, and the thing is, you can have all of these considerations in place, but sometimes it is still just going to happen. There's no getting away from it.
Oh yeah, in fact, if anything, knowing about it sometimes makes it easier to pinpoint where that person's potential weakness is.
Yeah. So, and with bullies, like you don't know their situation. I think that's often forgotten about as well. Like I found out years later, one of the lads who gave me a really hard time, was I appreciative of it? Absolutely not. But years later, I found out that he came from a very abusive home, like physical abuse from like an
Exactly.
alcoholic father who spent his free time knocking him and his mum around the house. So you don't know everyone's situation. Does it condone it? Absolutely not. But at the same time, you don't know other people's situation. Some people are just fucking assholes. And you don't learn that until later on in life when you get out to the working world and
We're still friends.
you're an adult. Yeah, barely. But some people are just assholes.
But is
And-
bullying okay as well?
Oh, that was my last point, Selina. Can we do that
Okay.
at the end?
Sorry, go on, carry on now. People are assholes.
People are assholes. I think that's pretty much no. The what we've covered is like you just have to be confident, like get your kids the tools they need so that they are independent and they are doing the best they can from the situation. If it happens, it happens. Like you just have to deal with it in a proactive way. But what about the other side of things, the closing points?
Well, look, my next point was, what can you do as a disabled person to combat people that are bullying you? We talked parents, like putting things in place to kind of stop it from happening. But let's say it does happen. How can you as a disabled person combat that?
I was going to just say, no, I think I'm probably going to say what Cleves is probably going to say is like have a sense of humor and laugh it off, because I would say my friends technically now, you could say as in my sighted friends, probably do bully me, but we just laugh it off and we all kind of bully each other about our differences. There'll be times where they'll be like, oh, I've put this on your plate, or I've asked them, no, can you take this off my plate? And they've left it on my plate, or, stupid things like that.
You mentioned earlier, Selina, context. And what I like is you've sort of attacked that from two parts there. One, context in the terms of your friends. If you've been friends with people for a long time and it's not really bullying, is it's just more bants between friends. People like rib each other, and that's just kind of what it is. And that's fun, that's fine. If you know those people, it's great. You probably wouldn't want to do that off the bat, but fine. But the other context you mentioned early on was, is it such a big deal in the grand scheme of things? Like if your disability is something like you said earlier, where you were in the process of losing your sight, is that bullying such a big thing that you have to really worry about it all that much because you've got effectively bigger fish to fry with your own coming to terms with your disability or losing your sight or whatever it might be? So is it that basically put it in context?
Yeah.
Should you really be all that bothered about it? Is what I'm saying. Firstly,
I mean, if it is physical, I think it's slightly different. If you are actually getting physically hurt, although I know people say emotional abuse is just as bad as physical. But I mean, yeah, if you're actually getting injured and things, I would say it is a concern and needs to be addressed, and someone needs to stop that from happening. But if it for like my situation, yeah, it wasn't the end of the world at all. Like I said, and yeah, if you if you ignore bullies as well, they get bored. They'll move on.
Mostly, I'll just put the asterisk there.
there you go then.
Mostly, and I think that's the caveat we have to put with all of this. Like these are all of this is there's no definitives to it.
Well, I think I was going to say that in my experience, bullies tend to bully you more when they see that it affects you. And now, here's my controversial point, because I dug my grave last week. Perhaps if you can build an exterior that is almost indifferent to the bullying, or you can laugh it off, even if you have to go home and cry it off, potentially that's better than crying it in front of the bully.
Well, you don't want to show weakness because it would.
Crying's not a weakness, T.
It's an emotional response to discomfort, pain, and distress.
But you don't want to show that necessarily in front
Mm.
of a bully. If you can sort of laugh it off, or if you can show them that it doesn't bother you, chances are, in my experience, I'll keep saying it, people
Yeah.
just get bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People just aren't bothered. It's just like, why am I picking on a person when they've got no reaction? You kind of want to, you almost dig for that reaction.
True, but sometimes it might be the reaction they get out of their mates, and that might be what they're looking for, not the reaction out of the person they're bullying.
Yeah, but again,
They still want a reaction as well. I think the mates want to see the impact of. They get bored when they don't see an impact.
if you sort of roll with it, they're making like sort of blind jokes or disabled jokes or
Mm.
deaf jokes or whatever it is in context, and you're sort of rolling with it and sort of having a bit of a laugh with it, and they see it's not really a problem. Chances are they're not doing it to purposely hurt you anymore.
Mm.
They might do it for a bit of fun, knowing that you're happy to joke along with it, if anything.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it purposely to hurt you anymore, because why? It can't.
Yeah.
At least that's what they would think.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I think it's not always going to be that silver bullet. Like, that's the thing. Like,
I'm not
try
saying
it.
it.
I think it is an effective way of dealing with it, but it's not going to be that silver bullet. And just quickly, Riley079 in the chat said, "What about calling people Derek?"
Is Riley on our chat?
Riley is a
Riley's
friend
gone
of
out for a
ours.
walk.
Riley's a friend of ours. I'm just going to call him a cunt. I've been nice previously because he gave us the topic about the blind welcome pack. He was
Oh,
that
yeah.
man. But ultimately, he's tuned into this stream, and he's put comments in the chat knowing full well that it would bite me, and it fucking did as well. I can't believe I bit. God damn it.
Yep.
Well done, Riley.
Yep. There's been a lot
I
of
tip
great
my glass
things.
to you.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great things in the chat. It's been moving quite quick, and we can't answer everything that comes up. But I saw that one, and I thought I have to flag that. So, okay, let's round this off.
Is bullying a good thing?
No,
Can it be a good thing?
no.
Here's what I think. Get my shovel out again, because I'm apparently not buried deep enough.
No.
I think a little bullying can build character. I think it can
Okay.
start to make you a bit more immune to things. It can help you build a thicker skin, which is possibly not something that people should do in today's society. We should be attacking it at the source and people shouldn't be doing it. Yeah, but they do. So maybe if you actually start to build that thicker skin, and if you do get bullied and you can begin to sort of build this personality or persona where you can shake it off, sticks and stones, thanks, Selina, then maybe in a way it will teach you to deal with harsh situations that you don't want to deal with. I don't think absolutely wholly it's a bad thing. I think there are merits to take away if people bully you.
Yeah. I think you can see a positive in everything if you try hard enough.
Well, Dragon Pockets in the chat said challenging someone will build character, whereas bullying is different because it's for a different reason.
Yeah,
Like
you
the
can challenge a
intention,
bully.
the
Yeah.
intention is different from a bully.
Yeah,
as
but you
opposed to
can turn
building
their
character.
intention around. Like, it doesn't matter what their intention is, it's what you on the receiving end do with it. Do you know what? Someone can give you £5. It's once you've got that £5, it's up to you what you do with it. They might give it to you because they feel sorry for you, but you could invest it and be a millionaire. You know.
Not according to a previous episode where Cleaves was going to give me £10 for 2 Big Macs and insisted I had to buy him on that.
I don't remember that. But he's right. You can challenge a bully as well. But again, you have to build that character, don't you? If someone's bullying you and then you go out and challenge them, then maybe you're challenging other stressful situations in your life as well. And this is what I mean by potentially being bullied. Yeah, it sucks. 99% of it is shite. But that 1%, you might be able to take a little bit out of that. If it forces you to challenge horrible behavior and horrible people around you, and even just horrible situations, and gives you that sort of confidence to actually attack it in a way that you think is progressive or will help you out in the long term, then I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
I don't know.
I think you're going to agree to disagree. Should we finish the episode now?
Yeah, I don't particularly agree with that. I think that you can still be a well-rounded, well-developed person without having adversity of this
But
nature.
there's always going to be adversity in life. That's life.
True, but targeted adversity based on a identifying factor of your person, I don't think that necessarily will build you. And I think there are other proactive ways of doing that.
You're right. Agreed to disagree.
Yeah. So please let us know what you think. We have been seeing some great things in the chat on Twitch, and we will likely come back to these down the line. I think there's more to this potentially. If you have an opinion, a thought, an idea, if you want to share your experience anonymously, of course, then please let us know all the links coming up. As always, we'll always want to hear from you, all the feedback, all the lovely stuff like that. And please join us on Twitch, where you can be a part of the conversation, like in today's episode. We've had some really great stuff coming in. We couldn't get to it all because
You're moderating it well enough.
I moderate how I can, but
I like how you probably dropped a message in. What's that group you got on your WhatsApp? That's difficult to get in.
Fun times.
Fun times. I feel like the fun times crew are here tonight, so thank you.
One of them definitely is.
Yes. So until next week, don't bully people, and see you later, I guess.
See you in a bit.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Seesaw Podcast. Your feedback and comments mean a lot to us, so if you'd like to get in touch, you can do so in the following ways.
You can find us on X at Seesaw Pod, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube at Seesaw Podcast. You can email us at seesawpodcast@gmail.com and can stream with us live every week on Twitch at Seesaw Podcast.
Remember to like, rate, review and share with a friend.
This podcast was recorded in front of a blind audience.